Something completely different coming up now. 400 IM.
I must admit I do like the 400 IM. I think this really shows the skills of the individual swimmers, and I love the way it can turn on the breaststroke leg. I think we have 4 heats of this again, if I've got that right, Duncan. Yes, we have. We have 3 swimmers in the first heat. In lane 3 for Highland, that's Max Hagan. In 4 for Dumfries, Finlay Hastings. And in 5 for Swim West Lothian, Nathan McGraw. And it is the Swim West Lothian man who is pushing on strongly at the moment through the first half of this butterfly. Let's see what sort of time he posts here. That's a 32.32. His pool beginning to stretch itself out a little bit, just with the Swim West Lothian man beginning to pull away a little bit from Finlay Hastings, about a body length up as they go through into the last half of the butterfly. Max Hagan just slightly off the pace in this early stages, but we'll keep an eye on that. Finlay Hastings actually coming through quite strongly in the last stages of that butterfly, and he's going to nail the fastest split at the end of the butterfly, 1:10.74.
Yes, so these two look pretty well set up for a good competitive race. See whether that is maintained as we go through the different strokes. As you said, David, a good technical race, but also a test of endurance and stamina. As you move from stroke to stroke, you've got to keep enough in hand so that you don't run out of gas in the latter stages. So a real great combination of techniques, some individual techniques you don't see in the individual events, of being able to turn from one stroke to the other as well, an important part, but also that endurance, that you've got it right to see yourself safely through the 200 and then the second 200. So Hastings leads the way from McGraw. Just going back to that 100 backstroke, I was saying Danny Joyce might not have made the A final, but it looks like she has. Just sneaked in with 106.27, just the 8th fastest. So with 105 swimmers are all in, behind Kirsty Simpson, Natasha Houghton, the 2 fastest. But through into the breaststroke now, and it's 2:35.64 for Finlay Hastings, 2:37.95 for Nathan McGraw. Max Hagan a fair way out of the picture now. So we are down to Finlay versus Nathan head to head.
And just looking at the 100 backstroke, Gulsom Onel is the fastest split for the B final, 106.57, just ahead of Mary Swanson from Warrender, and Julie Williams will be up there as well, 107.89 for Morgan Bears Den. But we've obviously got the afternoon sessions to go, so we'll see how that one works out, see if anybody can challenge any of those times. Back in the pool though, Finlay Hastings is beginning to dominate this a bit. 3:21.07 halfway through the breaststroke, and he's looking pretty strong through this breaststroke phase actually. Nathan McGraw from Swim West Lothian just dropped off the pace slightly. He's maybe 3 or 4 metres back, and the Dumfries man is looking extremely comfortable in this. 1 discipline to go, and he's going to take a lead of about 4 metres into the freestyle length. Let's see what sort of time he posts at the 3/4 mark, 4:06.50.
Yep, so he's got a lead of nearly 3.5 seconds over Nathan McGraw. So it'll take a big comeback here to close that down in this final 100. Entry time for Finlay 5:16, so you'd need a 1:10 final 100 to improve that, and you'd think he might be able to do that. We'll get a good view at this next split what his freestyle pacing is. Just coming up in the low 440s, going through there for 44.51. So looking at that, that was around a 38. So maybe not, in fact. Maybe we're not going to see a best time here. Nathan McGraw entered 5.19, so he is maybe slightly closing the gap, but with only half a length to go, I think he's going to run out of pull before he closes. But, well, he is still closing the gap, so this is getting tighter and tighter now. 10 meters to go. Can Nathan pull this off? It's getting really close. Suddenly, the threat is realized, and wow, Nathan took it there. Finley just realized the threat, but too late to respond in time. 5:20.88 and 5:20.96. Well, David, didn't see that finish coming.
No, 15 metres out, that did not look likely at all, but a really strong last sort of 50 metres, I suppose, from the Swim Slowdian man. Saw him getting his timing absolutely perfect and just pushing into that red zone, maybe catching the Dumfries man slightly unawares and stretching out and getting that touch. So good tactics from the Swim Slowdian swimmer, and probably good stamina as well at the end of that race, just to be able to kick on and make that last 50 metres really count.
He'll probably be told by his coach that he didn't go fast enough in the first 300 though, so you can never win as a swimmer. The coach will always pick out something that you can improve.
Very bad 385 metres and a fantastic 15 metres. I'm sure that's not what he'll be getting told by Andrew. However, we're on to Heat 2 in lane 1 for Dundee City Aquatics. That's George Cowan. In 2 for Ian Rennie. Dundee City Aquatics is Ian Rennie. We've got an empty lane in 3. And 4 for Warrender Joe Ewing. And 5 for East Kilbride Callum Young. And in 6 we have Highlands Jacob Duncan, and an empty lane in 7. But Warrender's Joe Ewing setting out his stall very, very early in this race. Good butterflyer and making that count as we go up to the end of the first discipline. He's got a lead of about 5 metres, and might be slightly more than that, just on 5 metres, 107.01 at that first 100 metre mark, so about just short of 4 seconds faster than the previous heat, as you'd expect, and he's got a substantial lead to take into the backstroke.
Yep, over 3.5 seconds over Ian Rennie in lane 2, with third place George Cowan. Just wondering if that is George Cowan actually in lane 1, because he's somebody wearing a Warrender cap, which seems slightly odd. But we'll try and confirm on that, what's going on. So 1:47.34, halfway through the backstroke. Ian Rennie 1:52.09. And whoever that swimmer is in lane 1, they are challenging hard for second place, with Callum Young not too far behind them, but Joe Ewing with a pretty substantial lead here. He did his entry time 5:05 at national age groups, just missed the medals there, 4th place. But, well, looking comfortable here. The lead maybe being fairly steady now, I'd say. 2:26.93 at halfway, around 9 seconds now, faster than the first heat, and a lead of about 5.5 seconds. Let's try and find out who this swimmer is in lane 1.
Certainly going well in lane 1, whoever he is. Just being pushed back by Ian Rennie from Dundee City Aquatics at the moment. Right up there in 5 as well as Callum Young from East Kilbride. So a good battle for third place at the moment. It's very tight. We'll try to confirm who the man in lane 1 is. Obviously a Warrender swimmer. But his teammate, whoever he is, Joe Ewing, is still out at the front. Takes that split in the breaststroke 3:11.32, and he is still commanding about 5 or 6 metres. Maybe not quite as big a lead as it was, to be honest, with Ian Rennie from Dundee City Aquatics maybe beginning to pull some of that back. It just doesn't seem quite as established. Maybe it's just that Ian is now pulling away from the guys behind him. Battle for third still between our Mystery Wander swimmer in lane 1 and lane 5. That's Callum Ewing from East Kilbride. But going into the freestyle, it's going to be a comfortable lead for Joe Ewing. So let's see what sort of time he posts at the 3/4 mark. 3:56.28.
So the lane 1 conundrum has been solved. It is George Cowan. He broke his cap apparently going in, and a friendly Warren the swimmer lent him his cap so that he had a cap. So caused a little bit of puzzlement there, but well, let's hope George can drive himself to a good time in his borrowed cap. He's slipped back to 4th place though, and so it's going to be Ewing and Rennie 1 and 2. The battle still is on for 3rd, Callum Young and George Cowan. Just the final 50 now, 4:31.52 for Joe, so pacing around 35 there, so we're going to be in the low 5 minutes, I think. 5:05.92 is entry time. As I said, he did that in national age groups. He's going to be very much there or thereabouts. Ian Rennie is closing though. He's putting in a very strong finish. Well, we saw that cracking finish in the first heat. Surely we're not going to see the same again here, are we? I think Joe is just this time going to be able to hold off the threat, but a great finish from Ian. So 5:05.69. Joe just dips under his entry time, so he'll be happy with that. And so will Ian Rennie, I would think. 5:07.23. Came into this meet on a 5:12. So he'd be very happy with that and showed a lot of strength there down the stretch in that final 50. And then George Cowan came back to earn himself 3rd place, and he also improved. So that Warren cap did him no harm at all. 5:13.76 and a best time for George.
Oh, that's a controversial statement. Is that his lucky cap now? So let's see if that cap gets handed back to the Wander swimmer that he borrowed it from. But a really good swim from George in lane 1 there.
I think his Dundee City Aquatics coach David Haig might make sure that it's returned. He doesn't want to get any silly ideas.
That's us moving on to Heat 3. In lane 1 for Dumfries, that's Lewis McLeod. In 2 for Carnegie, Fraser Beebe. 3 for Bellshill Sharks, Thomas Balfour. In 4 for City Glasgow, Chris Lowther. 5 for first, that's Ryan Retson. In 6 for East Lothian, Fraser Samuel. And in 7, it's City Glasgow's Guy Haggerty. And all the action in the middle of the pool at the moment. Lowther, Retson and Samuel pretty much up there. In fact, I'll correct that. It's BB Balfour and Lowther. Very tight as they go up through the end of the butterfly. Very tight as they go into the wall, actually. Not much between them at all. Just a couple of tenths. Chris Lowther taking the honours for City Glasgow, 1:02.90.
Yes, the 16-year-old Ryan Retson, one of our real rising up and coming stars, is mixing it here with the senior swimmers. Right there, along with Chris Lowther and Thomas Balfour, another 16-year-old. So 2 of the young whippersnappers just nipping at Chris Lowther's heels here. City of Glasgow swimmer. But Chris has the advantage by 3/10. Retson still 2nd, Balfour 3rd. All turning in the 140s at the 150 mark. So these 3 rapidly establishing a margin over 4th place Fraser Beebe. But it is Lowther. Of course, only 2 heats get cycle seeded in the 400 events. So, in theory at least, it will be the fastest 4 here that would progress, along with the fastest 4 from the final heat into the final. Just the 1 final in the 200s. No A and B finals, so you have to be in the top 8 to get the 2nd swim. And it's Retson now, who has opened up a bit of a gap as they go into the breaststroke. A bit of a turn up here, David, I think.
Yeah, this has proven to be quite an interesting race, actually. Let's see if he can hold on to this as he goes down to the breaststroke. Chris Lowther not far back, and just stretch into that stroke nicely, just on his shoulders, so well within touching distance. No, nothing for him to worry about at the moment. 2:56.92, so just about half a second between them at that turn point. Good turn though from Ryan Retson, maybe just give him a bit of the edge off the wall there. Chris Lowther working it back through the swim phase, and Thomas Balfour from Bellshill Sharks in 3, maybe 2 or 3 metres back. But it's going to be, sets up for an interesting last 100 here, I think, with Retson leading this one into the wall at the 3/4 mark. Let's see what sort of time he's going to post here. 3:37.63.
So yes, the gap is just over a second as they go into the freestyle. Chris Lowther, of course, we saw in the longer distance freestyle events, 1500 and the 400, so you would think he would be a threat in this final 100, but Ryan Retson, National Age Group Champion in this event, is holding his advantage pretty nicely now into the final turn. 4:10.10 against 4:11.77, so in fact the lead has increased a bit up to 1.6. Now maybe, of course, Chris is keeping his powder dry for tonight. These two surely will be comfortable qualifiers into the final. The question, I think, is who will join them. So good swims here from Retson and Lowther as into the final stages now, and Retson will take the honours here around 2.5 metres up as they come in 4:42.39. And Lowther 4:43.76. Here comes Thomas Balfour, just couldn't stick with the leading two in the second half there, but a solid third place, 4:52. And Fraser Beebe, we'll only see if 4:56 is fast enough to make the top 8. He came in 4th. We'll get the summary coming up as the final swimmers come in. Just taking a little while for the referee to confirm the result. I think it has been now, and there you have it. So there's the top 7. So 4:56 is 4th place. Keep an eye on that for this next heat. At 4:42.39 for Ryan Retson. Will he be the fastest qualifier? Not if Callum Laurie has anything to say about it, I suspect.
And Callum Laurie does go in lane 4 in this heat. Full order is lane 1 for first is Ben Johnston, and 2 for Swim West Lothian Samuel Jones. 3 for Warrender is Fraser Allison, and 4 for first is Callum Laurie. 5 for Gary Joseph Miley. 6 for City of Aberdeen swim team is Finlay Deans. 7 for City of Glasgow's Cameron Park, and in 8 for first is Callum Mitchell. As Duncan said, 4:56, that's the challenge for the top 4 here. Get inside that and you should be in the final. But as we work our way through the butterfly, it's Sam Jones from Swim West Lothian and Callum Laurie from first, pretty much level pegging as they pull themselves away from 4 swimmers who are chasing them down the pool. Wanders Fraser Allison right up there in the middle of that chasing pack, but it's 1:02.30 for Samuel Jones, who takes the honours at the end of the butterfly. Good butterfly swimmer, Sam, of course.
So that was a pretty odd fly because we saw Finlay Deans go out absolutely like an express train, so I think maybe he was going for a 50 fly split because he's now easing back to around 5th or so place, and then we saw Sam Jones really pushing it hard. But now as we go into the backstroke, Callum Laurie is making his bid to take charge. He, you would think, would be the favourite here. He was a finalist in the British Championships in April. 4:27 he did in Glasgow, finishing in 7th place in that senior final. He is the reigning National Age Group Champion as well. And you can see there his gap now around about 5 metres, and Joseph Miley edging into 2nd place now, just ahead of Samuel Jones, and Fraser Allison moving up He will fancy his chances perhaps of adding to his tally of East District Junior medals. He's had a number of them already. So halfway point 2:15.64. It's about half a second faster than Ryan Retson split in heat number 3. So they go into breaststroke.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable backstroke, I think, for Callum Lawrie. Didn't seem to be pushing it on too hard at all as he went into the wall. And obviously, as Duncan said, just maybe doing enough to make sure he gets the pole position in lane 4 for the final. We'll see what sort of time he posts at the end. But coming up on the outside of him just now, Joseph Miley from Geary over in 5. He's pushed himself into second place and has an advantage of maybe about a metre or so on Fraser Allinson in lane 3, and over in 7 that's Cameron Park from City of Glasgow. And just behind them Samuel Jones from Swim West Lothian, so he's on the cusp there, I would have said, of the top 4. But back out in the front it's Mr. Lawrie from first, and he's looking very comfortable. Doesn't seem to be any too much urgency in this, just staking his claim and pushing on strongly as he goes into the final discipline. 3:37.88, and that is just about, just a touch slower than the previous heat, but he's looking pretty good here down the freestyle. That's a fairly leisurely freestyle, Duncan, I would have to say.
Yeah, I think he's very much keeping his powder dry here, but well, pushing pretty hard in lane 7 is Cameron Parks, and he's making his bid. He's really come through strongly in the second half here and has a gap over third place Joseph Miley. He'll want to push on a bit just to make sure of his place in the final. You can't have a 400 IM final without a Miley in it, so come on Joseph, we need a good push from you here. Meanwhile, though, in lane 4, reminder of Ryan Retson's time, 4:42.39. So the clock just coming up, 4:34. So I suspect Callum Lauren will not be as fast as that. He's going to be fairly close to it, though. So they'll be probably side by side, Retson and Lawrie. 4:44.49, though. So a couple of seconds slower than Ryan Retson. The swimmers will know each other well, of course, both from the first programme. So they'll have a pretty clear idea, I think, of the capabilities and skills of each other tonight. Cameron Park, nice swim from him, 4:47 for him, 4:47.75. Comes into this meet with a 4:52, so that's great progress from Cameron. Third place, Joseph Miley, 4:48. I think that will be good enough to get into the final. Remember, we were looking at 4:52s and 4:56s in the first heat, so I think that top 4 there, Lawrie, Park, Miley and Allen